What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B, watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis and don't mind the wrinkles, man. I know the Virgo's looking like, damn, I want to enjoy the video, but the shirt wrinkled. Nah, you know what I'm saying? Yo, what's good? We're going to talk about these Saturn direct energies, you know what I'm saying? Cool vibe. So let's get into it, real shit, you know what I'm saying? Saturn going direct in Pisces. So we already know we've been dealing with Pisces energy when it comes to how we trying to see reality, which isn't always the most efficient, sufficient. It's a lot of, yeah, you thought this could work out that way, but it really can't energy. You know, that coupled with this year's experience being real heavy on character development, understanding different layers of yourself, peeling back layers, like, you know, kind of like on some like an onion. This whole year has been kind of like a reverse onion, in the sense, or I guess, like you peeling back layers to get to that core, your true self. You know what I'm saying? We start from Aries and we end in Pisces. So that Aries energy was the first layer, which was our initial passions. That got kind of changed up. That went through a change, because at that time, right, beginning of the year, I think we had the Jupiter and Aries energy. So we was going out on a limb, having a lot of faith in what we just wanted to see as an individual. But when Jupiter shifted into Taurus and we hit Taurus season, the vibe changed. It was more understanding what is actually realistic. Now Jupiter is still there, so we're still learning the reality of things. We're still seeing what's fixed and stable. It's kind of like going through, like, if you were to understand, like, you know, you ever seen them things where it's like sifting through something, like when people on the beach and they trying to find treasure, right? They get like this shovel, but it's got like these tiny holes that is just big enough for the sand to go through. So anything solid or solid, I guess, could stay on the stay in the pan while the sand just fell through. So this whole year has kind of been like, or Jupiter and Taurus is more like that, like sifting through shit, where the things that are solidified and are, these are things that we can see, that we can now pick from and see the wisdom in them. We can learn from them and expand on the things that we see of value. So, you know, you do that, you might get a couple seashells or something like that. So you're on the beach, you might get a couple seashells and stuff like that. But then you might find this little piece of metal, you know what I'm saying, that could actually be worth a pretty penny. You know what I'm saying? That shit could actually be worth a little money. You see somebody, you could find a gemstone, you could find like anything in that, so it's like this whole year has been us peeling back these layers, and as we're sifting through who we thought we were, we're taking those most valuable pieces and we're expanding on them, you know what I'm saying? So that's like a good way to look at it. So now we got that energy. I'm gonna get into the rest of that analogy real quick, though. I just want, before I forget, now we have that Jupiter energy sextiling this Taurus energy. I mean, this Saturn energy, Saturn going direct. So you can refer to that as, now that Saturn is direct, we are now responsible for making that, for figuring that out, for making that stable, for making that make sense. We're now responsible for applying that to the dream in order to create. It's like if you did find a metal while you were sifting, now you got to take that metal, and now with Saturn you should understand what to do in order to melt that metal and be able to use it towards something valuable, or cash it out and apply it to paying the bill for whatever it is that you're trying to expand on, or whatever it is that you're trying to do and experience. It's like, you know what I'm saying? But to continue the analogy, or just explanation of this year and how it's been, through that peeling back the layers and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? You got all different types of situations and circumstances that have kind of shown you, okay, like this aspect can work, this aspect might not work as well. I thought things could work this way. I see the reality of what I've been involved in, and that's not actually what that's hitting for. That's not really where that direction is trying to go. So, like I was saying, let's going back, like Aries was that initial layer of that onion. He was like, okay, this is just what I feel I want to see, and that's all I care about. But then Taurus kind of hit you with the, well, again, when it's all said and done, things shake up. What's left in the debris, like what's left in the debris to actually work with, that's actually the real shit. It's almost like if an earthquake was to come, what would stand tall, what would still be secure. And those things kind of like, that was that Taurus energy that set us up for you know, that whole situation. When we had Leo, you know, we started to get energies in Leo, and we had to express ourselves through that kind of initial confrontation with Chiron and things of that nature. Not Chiron, Lilith, in that situation. So continuing on, Taurus, you know, we went into Gemini. We started to kind of talk about it in the sense of building relationships with it. We started to speak that language and be known for, or be familiarized with it ourselves. And other people got maybe a familiar idea of what, or they got familiar with who we are through what it is that we stayed stable on, or what we stayed, or that we chose to value in that, right? And so after that, we went into Cancer, and Cancer was about that piece of the layer when we was, again, getting more sensitive, understanding ourselves, but changing our feelings. Okay, yeah, we done seen the truth of it. We done learned through communication and all that mutable energy of Gemini, like, what is the truth of who we are, like our true self. How do we actually think, and what's familiar with that? Then it was about getting comfortable with that thought, getting comfortable with those thoughts. It was fighting through, again, making decisions. Because remember, during that time, we had that whole Mars and Cancer energy, which was like, you only gonna act and put passion and effort into things that you care about, and not only care about, but choose to value. And sometimes that to value something, God needs to see you get up off your ass and do it, regardless of the expectation you might get out of it, regardless of anything you might see from that thing. So it's like, oh damn, like, you know what I'm saying, that might have been the energy that came off and you had to fight through. But again, now we in Cancer season, we was in Cancer season, and during that Cancer season, it was like, okay, I got to get comfortable with this. This is highly uncomfortable, but I still got to choose to create comfort in this space. And that was being understanding yourself and what you connect to, what you care about, what this new character of yourself care about. That's a layer of the onion that really, you know, shifted things. Because then we hit Leo, and then we had to get stable in that. We had to be confident in that energy. We had to express it regardless of all the forces that was going against us. And remember, even remember, we had that Taurus full moon going back to yeah, was it full moon or Taurus new moon? What was it? No, Scorpio full moon. That's what, in Taurus season. And you remember that kind of closed things out, because everything we made after that decision was, you know, based upon who we really was when all the chips was down. Because back then we was going through certain things on a actual physical level that, you know what I'm saying, had things kind of laid out for us to fall in, or either fall in or see the pitfall and still remain stable throughout it, you know, regardless if you were seeing what you wanted to see out of the situation or not. But going back to what I was saying, like, you know, Leo season, we had to stand on that, and that had to come from our heart. We had to express that. We had to let that fly. And then Virgo broke it down for us. Virgo, and we're fresh out of, well, yeah, Virgo was that harvest season. Remember, it was like scrambling season. We was making things make sense. Virgo season kind of seemed like it mellowed things out a little bit. We still had to, well, not really, we had to keep on putting in work, but it was more, you know, especially like Libra season, that those seasons was kind of ones that was still putting us through it. But as terms of what we was peeling back as far as the layers, it was like Virgo was making us, it was kind of helping us catch up with ourselves. Like, okay, this is what I put the work into. We got to calculate all the results, and we got to take those things to Libra, where we now had things to offer that we felt good about. But now, see, we in Scorpio, and in Scorpio, it's transmutation, like I was saying in that initial video, like earlier in this energy. And it's like, you know, when it comes to Scorpio, the transmutation of things, like right at this point, we're being confronted with things that, again, are still things that's behind closed doors, or being confronted with things that question or put your deep passions and deep motivations on trial, to be examined and see, okay, are you still pursuing those things, and how are you going about it? Because like this whole year's kind of been led by Mars in a way. You know, Mars, our passions and things of that nature, have been kind of taking more of the leading role, leading position. So everything we've been doing is kind of looking at our passions, or using our motivation, anger and aggression, maybe even frustration, to know how to push forward through times that's trying us. And a lot of this is like, again, Aries things, things that deal with, you know, who we are. But and again, like a lot of that could be even seen through like the North Node and Chiron and Aries, you know what I'm saying? Throughout all these mistakes, throughout the uncomfortability, what are we still gonna pursue, or what are we still gonna put on the forefront to continue to go with, you know what I'm saying? But you know, it being a year 7, ironically, it was led by Mars. But it was kind of like, again, that 7 was more so just balancing things out, but really more so about separation from things that still keep you away from that version of yourself that you always was, but is that higher octave. And it's choosing whether or not that version of yourself is a higher octave or whether it's a lower octave, whether you actually, again, based upon who you are, what you're going through at this time in life, if you just need to play out the roles of the inverted 7, which is taking lower angles. And again, like, it don't be whatever you're into, that's what you into. So whatever path you want, that's kind of what you experiencing right now. That's the decision you making, whether or not to hit them higher angles, or if you just realize, damn, where I'm at is I gotta choose lower angles. And in the process, like, even choosing higher angles, that's the more challenge. Well, they're both challenging in their own ways, because that's how life is. No matter what you're going through, like how they say, like, everybody going through something. So you might look at somebody's circumstance and be like, man, they ain't really going through what I'm going through. I'm going through this, that, and third. But you don't really know the context of their life either. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be wise enough to understand that. You don't know the context of their life, and you can't make that assumption just because what you're going through is what you're going through. So of course you're biased on it. Of course you like, damn, this is the realest shit ever. I'm going through so much. Everybody feel like that. Even people who don't have, people might have a different perspective on what they're going through, to where they don't take it as hard or harshly as somebody else. But we all have that thought in when we're going through something, like, damn, this is what I'm going through. Damn, okay. We all gotta make everybody should see their life as the most important thing. You know what I'm saying? Not on some narcissist shit, but just caring about your life and your path and your journey, what you're here to do. Everybody needs to see themselves in that way, to at least, yeah, and it's not, I don't even want to say it in a way where it's like main character syndrome, where everybody gotta come up with this idea of, oh, I'm the main character. It's not even about that. It's a deeper sense of just knowing yourself and loving yourself to the point where you allow yourself to go through the experiences that you was here to go through. But everything is discernment, choice, and everybody got their own choices to make. But that's a whole different conversation. Actually, it's the same conversation, but it's just a different aspect of it. I'm trying to stay at least on Saturn going direct, because Saturn going direct, it's it's a high impact. Like, at this time, it's like a high impact trigger. You know what I'm saying? A high impact workout, in the sense of, like, it hits you immediately. Everything that we was going throughout the Saturn retrograde, it's like, okay, again, every time a planet goes direct, the big question is, have you learned your lesson? But see, the universe gonna give you that quiz or that test or that exam in a way of putting you through those experiences. It's like putting you right back in certain situations that might have been occurring before it went retrograde, but it's like the different situation, but the same vibe. And similar circumstances, same vibe, or different circumstances, same vibe, and again, everything we went through during the retrograde of Saturn, it had to deal with Saturn being in Pisces. So this is ways we was making sense out of our dreams, imaginations, our creativity, and what we were trying to see in the world, and structure. So when it comes to structure, now now it's like, okay, boom, okay, so what have you learned about structuring your dreams and imaginations? I tell you like this, as a native Saturn and Pisces, a lot of this energy be how you construct your feelings in order to maintain a grounding or a realistic sense of what's real and what's not. What's only for an imagination to be used as motivation or fuel or faith, versus what is actually tangible and what you can put into action to see a result in, and what you can also judge from the results you get to determine whether or not what you're involved in or participating with is positive or negative for you, whether you need to change it up or you need to stay consistent with it. And also, Pisces energy deals with the consistency, or the ability to maintain something throughout without allowing certain feelings to interfere with the productivity. Because see, that's the whole thing, feelings and productivity. Like, feelings versus productivity, when it comes, that's the argument that Saturn has with itself within Pisces, but it can dry it up enough for it to make a better decision based upon, you know, being able to restrict certain feelings and certain imaginations and certain delusions for the sake of understanding that that's not real. That's part of what I need to utilize in order to inspire me. But if it's not inspiring me and it's actually keeping me stagnant, that's what needs to be separated from. You know, if y'all follow what I'm saying, because it's all different conversations going on with these energies when they're in the different spaces they're in. It's like them talking to themselves, and then any other planet in relation, they're having conversations with them. At least that's just how I'll be breaking it down. Like, that's not really how you see it is how you gonna see it, but this is why I explain it the way I do, because, you know, I see it as these different planets having conversations with themselves. So Saturn is and it plays out within yourself that whenever you go to these chakras, you're having a similar dialogue with your own energies, and based upon what houses it's in, that's going to be what it's kind of like the subject of what we're talking about. So for instance, if you had Pisces in the first house, this is you constructing your personal aspects of yourself, you know, your personality, and even your personal insecurities for that nature, and seeing what's real and what's not within that. You know what I'm saying? And then when it comes to, you know, second house, you know, your beliefs and your values when it comes to, you know, what you believed once and, you know, what you believe now. You know what I'm saying? And it's seeing the structure within that, the systems in that, it's talking, that's the subject, values and what we believe about them now. You know, third house, what we thought we were familiar with, but actually it wasn't really that. It was an illusion in this kind of way or that kind of way. Fourth house, you know, home, family, what we thought to believe, also privacy, you know what I'm saying, what we thought to believe close to our heart and what we thought made sense versus what the reality of the situation was, and what we actually aren't comfortable with, and what we actually need to gain comfortability with, what we were comfortable with that actually isn't comfort anymore. You know what I'm saying? We thought it was comfort, but we're seeing different aspects of it that's like, oh nah, like you didn't build it the right way. You need to rebuild your home, rebuild your inner workings so that you can actually make sense out of what you're, you know, what you feel, and also caring about different things, putting restrictions on things that you once cared about that you cared about differently, you know. And same thing as far as applying restrictions to the previous signs, restricting previous familiar thoughts and feelings and things of that nature that sprung from a delusion. Second house, restricting certain things that you valued based upon what you believe to be true. You know what I'm saying? Now you can change that up and believe something different and value that now, but you know to restrict from previous beliefs or previous delusions you had that led you to have the wrong aspects or value the wrong things. In that first house, you know, restricting certain personal insecurities that you believed yourself to have or that you thought were true but really were just personal delusions you had about either personal people, like people you know now you don't need to trust in your personal life, or things in your personal life that isn't actually insecurity. It's actually, nah, that actually was just something I was a little vulnerable about, but once I used it and shown it and expressed it, it actually is my greatest attribute. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. You know, fifth house, what you express, what you put on center stage and things of that nature, understanding what you need to restrict as far as, you know, okay, I need to restrict what I believed, or yeah, restrict the amount of attention I give to certain delusions versus the ones that the ones that keep me delusional, aka keep me 10 steps back, keep me running in circles on my own, chasing my own tail, versus the things I can pay attention to that actually propel me closer to where I want to be at, take me further, inspire me harder, inspire me more, and help me express even more things and things of that nature, you know. And then there's what else? Sixth house, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the opposite. So this is us understanding like how to structure our routines and patterns and how to take care of ourselves health wise, but also, you know, you might have thought certain things was healthy. You might have been lost in a workout routine thinking that was actually helping you, Now that was actually taking time away from other things you needed to spend more time on. You needed more time for spirituality, or you needed less time at work. You know, certain jobs you was doing that was actually weighing on your mental health in ways you didn't realize. And so understanding what you need to restrict, also figuring out better ways to go about work. You might have not had a job at all. You might have been thinking that you could just manifest money and do this, do that. You might even have a creative passion, but it kept you delusional in the reality of how you're going to get to a place to be able to take care of yourself and maintain you know, and do what you want to do. It's like you know, you might have had to take that job and do something a little different. You had to put death or restrict that delusion you had about the workplace and work routine, health, maybe even your coworkers, all that shit. You know, it could play out in so many different ways, because even in that instance, it's like, you know, again, you could have had certain beliefs about your coworkers that cause you to get fired type shit, you know what I'm saying, just based upon you not having the realistic aspect of what to pay attention to in that area, or how to construct yourself in that area, because that's really what Saturn is. It's like how we choose to construct ourselves to conduct business. So, you know, that could be in any area of life. That's how you can, you know, the energy of Saturn is how you construct yourself in order to handle and execute business. And handling business in your life, you know, again, everything in your life is your business. That's your business. So how you handle it and stuff like that, you can look at your Saturn sign to understand, oh, that's how I construct myself. Like Saturn and Aries, you construct yourself on a very personal, individual, self-motivated way when it comes to conducting your business. You know what I'm saying? Taurus, you and see, again, this is going to interact with your sun sign a certain way and your moon sign a certain way. You know, just different aspects of your chart. But I'm saying, like, a lot of times, like, yeah, your sun might be how you act, but how you act might be one way, and your Saturn is how you still construct yourself to carry out that business. So again, you could be a sun sign. Let's say you a sun sign. Um, let's say you a sun sign, uh, Taurus, right? Yeah. You a sun sign Taurus, but your Saturn is in Aries. So your Saturn's in Aries, but you're a sun sign Taurus. How you act, well, yeah, how you act is gonna be on Taurus-like things. How you see things is a Taurus-like way of making sense out of things. You know what I'm saying? Being a little more reserved, but you know, consistent, or maybe stubborn at times. You're gonna act like that. You're gonna act like on some Taurus shit. But how you conduct yourself and construct yourself to conduct business is going to be like Aries like. So, you know, even though like you know, yeah, you'll be on some Venus shit as far as having value, or you know, having the resources or whatnot to support, right? But you might have a way of constructing yourself to where you come off in a certain way that's more Aries like, as if, you know, I could do it myself if I wanted to type vibe. Like I could do it myself if I wanted to, or a passionate vibe about how you go about that business, or how you go about, you know, constructing it. It's like you'll go about it in that Aries way, or you'll construct yourself in the Aries way, but go about it in the Taurus way. You know, Saturn in so you had a Saturn in Scorpio, and the sun in Cancer. You know what I'm saying? So how you act in things is going to be more initiating water. You know what I'm saying? Initiating the mood, setting the vibe, expressing how you feel, right? But how you construct yourself before you go about things and things of that nature is going to look like Saturn type things. So before you say, oh, this is how I feel, you're first going to get deep and connected with your passions and what you're motivated by, and then you're going to act on, hey, this is actually what I care about. So you're going to construct yourself in a way as if, you know, that Scorpio energy of being deeply passionate into it, you're going to really hone in on it first, and then you're going to express it, type shit. You know what I'm saying? Saturn and Scorpio, sun in say you had a sun in Gemini, so how you go about things is Gemini like. But before you construct it though, this be stuff that you get deep and you get passionate, just like Scorpio, you know, Saturn and Scorpio. You get deep and passionate, and that's how you construct yourself to conduct your business. But then it just looks like Gemini. So like, it might throw people off. People might not understand how you are that serious about certain things when you come off so playful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like once they start to start to get to know you and start to see how you make sense out of things, they be like, damn, you actually put a lot of thought and feeling into that. Versus, you know, but how they just see you act is gonna be that Gemini way. You know, same thing with the Taurus energy. It's like, I seen you act so cool, calm, collected, but you actually passionate, like you put yourself together in a passionate way to get that done. You know what I'm saying? Like all kinds of combinations. You know what I'm saying? Um, Saturn and Gemini, Sun and Pisces. You know what I'm saying? You put yourself out like, you know, you're super spiritual and things of that nature. But how you construct yourself is you made yourself more like a lighthearted comedian almost, you know what I'm saying? So it's like how you conduct your business, be in that kind of lighthearted way and stuff like that. And that's what makes sense to you, you know, and that's really what it comes down to. Saturn being what made sense for you, you know what I'm saying? So you, okay, it makes sense, and how I see the world and how I make sense out of reality is in a Gemini way. So I need communication. So you naturally going to construct yourself in a way to receive or give off communication, receive or express communication based upon you understanding that's how you want to construct business or conduct business or go about reality. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that helped you understand your Saturn sign a little bit better. You know, Sun and Sagittarius, like you, well, no, so yeah, you know, your Saturn and Sun relationship, and this be a lot of your masculine energy. This is why, like, again, in your chart, you can understand how you go about masculine energy, in a sense, because you understand the combination between your Sun and your Saturn. And Saturn is going to be how you construct yourself to prepare to externalize, how you construct yourself to prepare to make a point, how you construct yourself in order to in the process before you stand on something, you know. And that's what masculine energy represents, you know, the ability to express and stand on something, even if it, you know, regardless if it's right or wrong, the ability to express and stand on it and then be like, yeah, that's it, you know. That's masculine energy, you know what I'm saying? So getting back to, oh yeah, I think what I laid about, I think I was on the 6th house. So 7th house, you know, this is going to be you understanding when it comes to Saturn and Pisces, how to construct your relationships and restricting yourself from certain delusions you was in regarding what you was relating to within yourself. And then also it can be externally, people you was connected to that wasn't really in your best interest or helping you manifest what it is that you was here to do. You know what I'm saying? They're keeping you away from doing what you're supposed to do and things of that nature. 8th house, Saturn in the 8th house. This is you. This is, you know, going through illusions based upon things you kept. So this could be deep emotions, deep passions you was delusional about, things that you was so passionate and bent on expressing and getting in the world, but it turns out that wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? Once you got it, you realize, damn, this was really worthless. So a lot of things that you might have been deeply passionate about that you had to restrict yourself as far as what's delusional about your deep passions, or what is delusional even about the things you kind of try to keep behind closed doors, you know. You might need to readjust these things and reorganize these things to make more sense. You know what I'm saying? In the 9th house, this is Saturn. You know, different experiences you was delusional in, different things that you believed that really wasn't true. It was based off upon the wrong imagination about it. So you now have to reconstruct that energy and restrict yourself from those kind of beliefs and that kind of lifestyle. That lifestyle isn't really the one you wanted. You know what I'm saying? You was just going through it because you didn't know how to stand up for yourself and do what you wanted to do and experience what you wanted to do. You didn't have enough faith in what you wanted to do to go out for it. So you created a delusion that looked like the perfect paradise, but it was really you just packing your bags to escape. You know what I'm saying? So it's coming back to that and seeing the reality in that. And then there's, you know, the moon and, what the moon, oh yeah, the Saturn. I don't know why I said the moon. Saturn and you know, the 10th house, you know, certain things that you was doing that did look like your status, but you was delusional about it. So you was delusional about your status, or delusional about how you was constructing your status. You realize certain things that you thought was cool isn't cool no more. So you're choosing to broadcast different things based upon you restriction from what you no longer believe in and what you know is a delusion instead. And then there's what else? You got moon in I mean, I keep saying moon, that's why I be lost. Saturn in the 11th, which is, you know, friends, certain friendships you had, for certain associations, what you was associating with yourself, restricted from those things, right? in order to now see, okay, that was a delusion, and that wasn't helping me construct my dreams. Let me switch it up and do this, and vice versa. All those different types of things. And then you got in the 12th house, and this is Saturn being in the 12th house. This is you again, delusions about your self-doubt, your self-image, and how you believed in yourself, and certain things like that, or what you believe to be true within that delusion. So certain things you just realize it was a delusion altogether. Certain dreams that you realizing, damn, I gotta restrict myself from having certain dreams or belief systems, because they keep me from experiencing other things. Or what you were believing is what was restricting you. That's what it was. What you're believing in general is what's restricting you. So you really believed that you was incapable of something. You had an imagination of you failing, fear, deep rooted subconscious issues, having to reorganize your subconscious. And that's really what it is too. So that was the retrograde energy. And now going direct. And what I mean by retrograde energy is like reconstruct. Allow all these different houses is about reconstruction. That's what Saturn does. It clears things out to reconstruct, to rebuild. So now from that ground zero, it's up to you to now know, okay, this is what I am here to rebuild. So again, Saturn in all these different houses is the area of life you are now rebuilding on. So I'm rebuilding on my first house. I'm rebuilding on my personal relationships based upon what I now know I need to restrict myself from. That was a delusion of how I was making sense of reality. So on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? As all the houses I've just mentioned. So all of these different energies, again, it's the reconstruction. So that's what our minds and hearts need to be on more so now. It's like, okay, now how can I rebuild this? And again, it went through Formal, and it still is now. It's finna go forward through Formal slightly again. So what's gonna happen is, even in that, it's like this is the death process of what we once had structured to keep us secure and made us feel like we was realistic. We're now at a point where now with it going direct, this is I'm not gonna say it's gonna be good or bad. It's gonna be what it is. And it's just you now having the puzzle pieces. It comes down to whether or not you planted the right seeds, whether or not you learned your lesson from the retrograde and understanding what that's going to require. So from that ground zero, based upon what you put in as work, effort, or attention, and actual intention, that's going to determine whether or not you have whether or not you've had enough experiences to now discern, okay, yeah, this is the right way to go with this, or this is, again, it's not the right way. And that's going to be your process of rebuilding. Like I said, back when it first went retrograde, I wish I knew the actual day it was. But when it went retrograde, we at that time, we probably didn't know what it is that we was trying to construct or what we was trying to go forward with, right? Saturn was in Pisces, but we was just going off of what we thought to be true, what we thought and dreamed and imagined, boom. But all those experiences from that point to now, okay, now we should now have gone through enough experiences to see now, okay, yeah, that wasn't working. Now let's try something new and see if you planted the right seeds. You're going to be able to see all those different things way ahead of time, and that's going to be your opportunity to actually pursue, put it into action, and do it and carry out that energy. If you still hesitate, it's 9 times out of 10 because you're still unsure. And if you're still unsure, 9 times out of 10 is because you didn't go through enough experiences during the retrograde, using what you once believed as a catalyst to create the experiences to learn from. You know what I'm saying? You wasn't expressing yourself. You wasn't participating with things. You wasn't putting yourself out in the world. So you don't have enough information to conduct your research. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Spiritual experiments. We have to experience in order to have enough evidence, research to determine a hypothesis, to confirm or refute a hypothesis we once had, and to also have better questions for next time, because that's what it is. It's always having better questions for next time, next experience. And that better questions is not literally you in that experience asking questions, but it's you having an awareness and eye to see different things that you wouldn't be privy to even be. Like, for instance, when you have a child who asks certain questions, it's like you can tell where their mind is at. And it's like it's a known thing, like better questions lead to better awareness. But if you don't know to ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. That's not going to give you the right awareness, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like, you know how they say, like a lot of times it'd be like, yo, it's about the type of questions you ask in life. You know what I'm saying? Some people just didn't ask the right questions, so they wasn't privy to the right answers. You know what I'm saying? They stopped asking questions, and so they didn't have the right, you know, enough information or enough awareness in a certain area. So it comes down to that as well. So you got to ask the right questions. You got to understand, you know, what it is you're trying to even decide for your life. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing too. If you don't know yourself, you're not going to know your perspective. You don't know your perspective, you're not going to understand the angle you're coming at the world. It's like knowing yourself allows you to understand, or the have the first starting points to piece out your piece of all possibilities and what you're here to do. Once you start to piece that out, you develop a purpose, and then you create a mission from that. You know what I'm saying? But if you aren't, you know, some people just got to go through a bunch of experiences doing a bunch of stuff that might look like a waste of time, aka you spend a bunch of years doing one thing that just wasn't you. But again, if you had your mind in the right space, shout out to Mooney, because he had made a video talking about this previously. I think it was how to know if something's meant for you or not. You know, and it's just like, again, if your heart is in the right place, your attention is in the right place, yeah, it might take a longer time, but you know, you shouldn't look at it like, oh, I'm taking too much time. It's like, even if you was involving yourself in the wrong thing, still having the awareness or still getting out and doing something with the right intention on your heart, aka you just on your path, then it's going to always lead you and direct you into the right areas, you know, sooner or later. But, you know, those people who, again, are still not, you know, they're not learning from their experiences, they're not paying attention enough to know what's working and what's not working and making sound decisions and stuff like that. They just gonna go through a bunch of losses until, but everybody finds their way eventually. At least that's what I hope. I don't really know. It seems like people usually, it just take people eons and eons. But again, I don't really know that to say that, hey, every time you'll find your way. I feel like, I don't know, with the amount of people in the world who just seem lost, and it don't seem like it's any chance of them getting to point A to point B. I don't know what to tell them. You know what I'm saying? At this point, that's why, like, even with these videos that we make, all we can really do is just express ourselves and, you know, be yourself and put your energy in the world, and hopefully it spark something in somebody's mind. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not really, you know, I don't know, you can't be too concerned with people who don't want to learn, people who don't want to do something. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, and people gotta want to. And that's why, that's as far as it can go with anybody. You know, they've gotta want to. Because any form of convincing, any form of trying to get them to, you at a loss. You know what I'm saying? You know, because at the end of the day, they're going, you know. But anyway, so, you know, going back to Saturn and things of that nature, you know, so the Saturn going direct is really just us, you know, wrapping our heads around, okay, this is the work, you know, and that's opposite that Virgo energy. So it's like, this is the work, and we're either gonna use what we've learned about how to go about constructing the proper belief that can allow us to conduct business in a way that we can get to our dreams. We're either going to choose to go that path, that route, or we'll be stuck in some form of just, again, either you're scared of the work, you don't want to do the work, you just still not understanding the right way to construct things. And the thing about it is, sometimes even with Pisces energy, you want to map out the whole imagination before you take a step, and sometimes you can't have it all laid out for you. It's you know, and that goes with everything in life. You can't have all the answers to what things are going to entail yet. And sometimes, you know, before you start, you might not even be able to see what's coming in the next couple steps. So it's like, you might not even see where your next foot forward is going to look like. But the important thing, what you should have learned, is that, look, just take the step. And then once you take the step, maintain control and structure over your emotionals, your emotionals, but for real, your emotions and feelings, and understand which ones need to be disintegrated, aka, like, I need to let go of that because that is the wrong belief. That is a feeling that's leading to the wrong belief system that's not going to help me get to my goals. Kill it. this is a thought, no, this is a feeling that actually is inspiring me or allowing me enough faith that even through these hard times, aka that opposition and just what we're going through in general, through these hard times, I can still succeed. Even if it looks like a hindrance right now, or looks like something I lack at the moment, or looks like something I'm insecure about, I can take that insecurity, and then this is where the gift of the Sun, Mercury, and Mars play in, because we have the gift currently to transmute this. So use this beginning age of Pisces to teach it how to transmute properly with the help it's given, aka the trine with those energies. Those trines, that right there is just enough to help you take that energy and transmute, you know what I'm saying, any remaining self-doubt about the steps you know you need to take. And as you take those steps, it's a matter of, again, Saturn and Pisces is constructing and making that belief system solid enough to hold its weight, aka creating somewhat of an anchor or a platform within that water, that moving water, to stabilize something, to create a circumference at the very least, a boundary, you know what I'm saying? And through that boundary, okay, we can be boundless. And that boundary is not restricting you from all possibilities, it's restricting you from going in directions that don't suit your spiritual health. Because if we think about spiritual health, it's the thoughts and feelings that you are able to produce. Those thoughts and feelings, that's your spiritual health. You know what I'm saying? Your thought, your ability. And again, and let me be clear too, because the thing about it is, thoughts and feelings themselves are demonic. Spirituality is the separation from those a lot of times. So it's kind of like spirituality being separate from the thoughts and feelings we get lost in. But spirituality also understanding that we are the creators of thoughts and feelings. So it's about creating better thoughts and feelings, but also knowing how to go to war and separate from thoughts and feelings that bring us down, that keep us in those spaces that we don't even want to be in. And again, even when we start talking like that, it's like way easier said than done, you know what I'm saying? Because on the surface, it's kind of like, well, duh, you know what I'm saying? I gotta think better, and I gotta separate from, but it's deeper than that, you know what I'm saying? It's deeper than that, because it's the subconscious mind. It's what we don't realize we be thinking, what we don't realize we be feeling, where those feelings lead to, and vice versa, you know what I'm saying? But all throughout, Saturn in general is clearing house on that, you know what I'm saying? So this is a deep cleanse that we could also initiate, that we also need to initiate, you know. And that's a little bit of the, you know, because it's 0 degrees, so it, you know, it's 0 degrees, so it's coming back off of that Aquarius energy too. It's like we having a little help also thinking about it, you know what I'm saying? That slight cusp, you know what I'm saying? That cusp is like, okay, this is how we can think about it, you know, from a fixed nature, what our original plan was, and its uniqueness, you know what I'm saying? And then Saturn can now take that and, okay, build on that with that, you know. But for the most part, Saturn is, you know, it's got to rebuild that. It's got to rebuild all that, what makes sense out of that, the reality of the situation. So, you know, allow yourself to be free in that area, you know, free to, it's like allow yourself to, allow yourself to, yeah, be free and open in that area, you know, but also understand. I don't even want to say that. Allow yourself to be responsible in that area. That's what I should say more so. I wouldn't. It's not about being open and free. It's more so about being responsible in that area. It's like at this point, the conclusion is you are responsible for your dreams. You are responsible for your subconscious. You are responsible for the quality of your mental health. So take that into consideration with every step at this point. And you just taking care of that is Saturn and Pisces itself. So what's going to happen is that energy is going to reverberate in other things making sense as far as different decisions you make, because you can make the best decisions in the world if you can't actually if your mental not right. And again, even best decisions in the world, these things are subjective anyway. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you got to be comfortable and you got to be satisfied with what you decide to do in life. And that's really all that matters. Are you satisfied with the choices you've made? Because other people are always going to have an opinion or judgment about decisions you chose, the ways you chose to go about that, the ways you chose to go about this. People always going to have their own idea of what you should have did, what you could have did, blah, 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 blah. But you got to, at the end of the day, be okay with what you're choosing to do. And again, not to say you're not going to make mistakes. And when you do fuck up, acknowledge it. But it's a, but at the end, and you acknowledge it, that's part of being responsible. That's part of being responsible about what you decided to do. Because again, you could have decided something to do that was, again, what you decided, you was already cool with it, but then you see how it affected something else. Because that's the thing, we can't predict the future. So you might not understand that this decision led to that, but the responsible aspect is seeing the relation, and then from there you can make a positive change, or you could choose to do the same thing over and over again. You know what I'm saying? But we always gonna have to go through the experience itself to also understand, like, oh, this is what led to that. That wasn't a good choice. Let me be responsible and clean it up, aka reconstruct the better, reconstruct the system to improve upon it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the Saturn aspect. But Saturn, again, is more blueprint energy. So it's kind of like you just checking the blueprint, but again, the blueprint can keep you stagnant if you're so concerned, because Pisces will sit there at the blueprint and imagine it all working out without putting the work in. So you got to avoid that aspect and make sure you're actually getting up and participating and putting the blueprint to test. You have to test it. You have to take, okay, if this is how we think we're going to build this house, we're not going to know until we start building. So let's start building, or at least let's do a test. You know what I'm saying? Let's go over here and let's build a model of the house with this with this technique, or with these plans, these schematics, and then it's going to either work or not, to show us, okay, yeah, no, we don't need to apply this to the final blueprint. But you still got to put it in. You still got to put in the work. You still got to see it in reality. But yeah. So yeah, we're gonna come back with a moon in Virgo video. And see, that's another thing, the moon sliding in Virgo. That opposite Saturn now going direct, that's gonna be you feeling highly uncomfortable about your reality in general and what you're gonna have to do to reconstruct things. So this is off the bat giving you that opportunity to be on some resistant mode, or be on some opposite shit, runaway shit, you know what I'm saying, just based upon the moon being in opposition immediately with Saturn, to be like, I'm so uncomfortable with reality. But it's like you still have to choose to do what you need to do regardless of that, not let the reaction to the details of it discourage you from you doing what you just got to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's why I said you responsible for your mental health. So if you can't allow, even if you're going through tension and things that's opposite to you, if you can't construct yourself to conduct business, aka, okay, yeah, I might be seeing the opposition and the anxiety, but if I can't produce the right thoughts and feelings about these things, even if those thoughts and feelings is like, holy shit, this is a lot, I'm overwhelmed, but that little but and your ability to produce the next thought and feeling that can allow you to make that but make sense. And when I say that, I mean make it make sense enough to push through whatever little thing you said in the front that you thought was that you was battling with. If you can't come to a better loop to get you where you need to go, that means you didn't plant the right seeds, and you need to stop yourself and work on that and get better with that, because that right there is your first indication that, okay, I must not have did everything I was supposed to do in retrograde. But see, here's the kicker is, you either did the work or didn't. You being aware of that is enough evidence to know that you at least went through something during that retrograde and learned the right way. But people who haven't, those are going to be the first people who make that mistake without a second guess, and just continue to keep on making that mistake until they peak game. You know what I'm saying? And it might take a little minute, because we're not gonna have, like right now, the sun is helping Saturn, but here's the thing, with a trine sometimes like this could be an easy setup, because you could be so comfortable transmuting stuff that you're still not taking steps towards change. You're still not taking steps towards actually walking your path. You're just using a bunch of transmutation tactics to stay stagnant, and you're not gonna see until the moon gets into maybe a square sign with Saturn that, oh shit, I actually wasn't doing what it is I was supposed to do. You know, I actually wasn't doing it, or, you know, and then again, let me see, or it could be even let me see, because the moon, because the sun gonna go, sun is in Scorpio now, so the next sign to be in is Sagittarius. So yeah, when Sagittarius hits, then you might, a lot of that things that you swept under the rug due to just using transmutation and thinking I can still stay stagnant doing old shit and not actually getting out doing the things that I'm transmuting to set my, like, transmutation is a tool to get you prepared to do something, not a tool to magically make your problems go away. So don't get that confused. That could be what you conclude during the Saturn and Pisces shit, trying in that sun, Mars and Mercury, just off of how easy it is to just think yourself into a better feeling. Like, no, you still got to get up and do it and go through more uncomfortable feelings in the process of it. But throughout it all, allowing that bit of transmutation to keep you productive, keep you moving forward, and things of that nature. I should have charged my phone, it's about to die, so we're gonna wrap this up. But you know what I'm saying, that's gonna be the gift now. But the gifts can make you lazy. Tries be the number one thing that fuck up people's flow. Being too comfortable, being too easy going. Oh yeah, I can expect that tomorrow. Hell no. You don't know what could happen tomorrow. That thing could be yanked from right under you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the universe always going to show you with, especially if you got a lot of trons in your chart. You think you was cool. Yeah, you might be able to flow the energy, but don't forget that just because you could flow easy don't make you entitled to success. Just because you talented don't make you entitled to success. That's still work involved. It's still participation involved. It's still groundwork involved. And sometimes you not having enough struggle and tension and conflict in your life is what makes you too passive to make it. That's why, ironically, you would think people with strong Mars signs, like for instance a Mars in Scorpio or Mars in Aries, would be the first people to be all up in your face, always angry, always fighting, always this, that, and the third. But it's actually the opposite. Those be the more passive people because they understand that they don't have anything to prove when it comes to Mars. So they might actually chill out on a lot of Mars things, choosing not to get into fights. Also, it's a confidence thing. I know I could fuck your life up, so I'm not even gonna get myself involved. That's how you see in physical life with people who really do this shit, like people who really box, people who really MMA, and you don't even know it, but they, you know, somebody arguing all up in their face, and they might seem calm, cool, collected, but it's like in their mind, they know it's like, I'm not even gonna put my hands on you because I would literally kill you, like that, you know what I'm saying? That type of energy is from the home Mars signs. It's the people with Mars in the signs and areas that is uncomfortable, that always trying to fight, always angry about something, always trying to argue, always trying to be confrontational. It's those people who have Mars and tough signs that actually be the opposite of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you start to realize that, you know. And the same with any energy. You know, I'm just using Mars as an example in this case because for Scorpio, but it be with anything, like people with Mercury and the wrong signs be the first people to be talking too much and shit like that, you know. But again, it's a little different. It's way more apparent with Mars just because we see people get into fights, and a lot of times, like how, you know, you could be in a room, right? There's two people in a room finna fight. The person who's walking around yelling, ripping their shirt off and shit like that, that usually be the person who get their ass beat. You know what I'm saying? Like usually 9 times out of 10, what they say the loudest person in the room is usually the person who's mentally weak. You know what I'm saying? Usually the person who got a lot to prove and is insecure about that shit. And so they're so excited about it. You know what I'm saying? And they're too excited about it. But you know, that's the name of the game. So transmutation as a tool to prepare yourself to do something. Saturn going direct, how we construct ourselves to carry out and conduct business. So Saturn and Pisces, we need to do Pisces shit in order to get us constructed to conduct business. And that's got to look like, you know, and again, the topic of the situation is going to be whatever house it's in, you know what I'm saying? And also, like, even though it's that house, it's also always remind yourself to apply it. You can apply it to other people in that area, or that area from a literal sense, like the fourth house, the home. But don't forget that everything has a double meaning, aka esoteric internal meaning. Meaning, fourth house also my comfort zone and my feelings in general. You know, third house, yeah, my surroundings and neighborhood, but also my internal thoughts and feelings I'm familiar with. Second house, values, things I value, what I do and to offer offer to the world, but also my value systems. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. Don't forget that aspect. Everything got a deeper internal aspect. So before you do the external and get lost in that, like 10th house, you might be like, oh yeah, it's just with my status and what I broadcast. But no, it's also your self-esteem and how you conduct yourself and construct yourself. So you know what I'm saying? Like that's what I mean. Like don't overshadow that aspect. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget that, because you know we at a time right now where astrology is so popular. Now we got so much information about astrology. It's being simplified on a lot of different in a lot of different ways. Like when I be saying cookie cutter astrology, it's like evolved now to the point you got weird things to come about. Like there's a astrology robot that was built in like California, I think, and it's like people can walk up to it and just put their birth date in or something like that, and it print them a horoscope or some shit like that. It's all kinds of weird stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I like, you know, again, the real astrology you gonna know, because it's not just keeping things on the surface when it comes to physical stuff like all the house and you know what I'm saying. But anyway, you know, all that is, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying. But that's why y'all here, y'all watching this, y'all in the right place to get that real. So anyway, but yeah, that's what it is. Just remember those things when it comes to Saturn going direct. We're gonna come back with the moon and Virgo, Sun and Scorpio. Already, you know, that's gonna be sextile energy. So things that exploded during this moon in Leo, things that were, you know, shown, expressed, and all things like that. This is going to be the time in which, you know, it's an opportunity now for you to clean it up, for you to work on it, you know what I'm saying, work on it in that kind of way, or to take it and whatever's left afterwards as far as the aftermath to make something out of it, you know what I'm saying, work something out for it. And that is going to be part of the waning period, cleaning up. Then we're going to hit the moon in Libra. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you want to make sure, and I just say that to give y'all, like, you know what I'm saying, just a couple, you know, I ain't really trying to set you on a path. It's just, you know, these energies that we participate in, because it might not be about cleaning things up for you. It might be about, you know, in any capacity, it's going to be you looking at the details and you building on those. You know what I'm saying? You looking at the details, you building on those, and making sense out of things, but also from that Scorpio aspect, because there's many different ways it could play out, where it could be you doing the opportunity to do some manipulative things, you know, especially with so many energies in Scorpio, or it could lead you to actually, you know, take something a little more serious and get down to the details of certain other things that, you know, need to be ironed out before you can move forward. Because it's kind of like that Scorpio energy gets so deep into the water. Scorpio and Virgo get along well, because because Virgo can kind of understand that, and it's like it's a deep internal sign too. You know, Virgo's an internal sign too. So you know, both of them are able to come together, and Virgo's able to make sense out of those deep emotions enough to where the Scorpio now has context. Sometimes the Scorpio is supposed to be so deep into something it has no context. You know, it's too deep, it's too crowded and shrouded in darkness. But here comes the Virgo, who's able to be like, oh no, okay, I see, like this right here, this makes sense here, and this makes sense here due to the details and the evidence, and boom, boom, boom. So Scorpio's like, oh yeah, you're right, it does make sense. And it's like, that's how that relationship is. So that could be what's going on internally with you. You could be, again, whatever you was deeply into and kind of going through, you're able now to have like a reference to be like, okay, like let's start to make sense out of this. Let's start to edge out this picture. Let's start to put the evidence together, and now we can actually construct something. We can actually, oh, okay, that's what we can work with now, you know. So that's gonna kind of be the vibe for the most part. So, yo, trying to think of anything else. Yeah, so that's gonna be it for the most part. So, yeah, just be on the lookout for that video, and much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.